Before the turn of the century, if you were to say the word documentary, two words would likely spring to mind: National Geographic. But since the year 2000, there's been an influx of documentary-style films, but without any kind of objectivity. Some of these are greater offenders than others, but all of them have something that no documentary should have: an axe to grind. Now, I'm not saying that these films shouldn't be made, or that there's no value in watching them. I'm not even saying that the filmmakers shouldn't have an axe to grind and make a film discussing the issues from their point of view. What I'm saying is, documentaries have become a sort of catch-all for any film that is nonfiction, deals with the subject, and has a narrator. And over the years, I've missed what I perceive to be the more genuine article. That having been said, I recently saw two films that not only made a huge impression on me, but also conducted themselves in a way that I think a documentary should. The first is Jesus Camp, the second is Hell House. Both are documentaries about essentially one subject: evangelical Christians in the United States and the methods they use in order to, as they see it, save children and instruct them about the will of God and the dangers of sin. If you haven't seen these films, I strongly suggest that you do. They're two of the most provocative documentaries I've seen, and moreover, they're just plain great films. Before getting into the subject matter and how I personally feel about them, let's talk about what I liked in general about these films. First, both of them showcase a group of people and an event that they organize that will likely seem strange and bizarre to people outside of their circle. A lesser film may have tried to either play that up or down, but neither of these films say anything at all about it. The only guide we're left with to help us understand these people are our own sensibilities. The films do not dictate to the viewer who our sympathies are supposed to be with. Neither film portrays these people in any light whatsoever. They simply spend time with them. Second, and I cannot stress this enough, I have a huge pet peeve when it comes to most films that feel it necessary to telegraph everything we're supposed to feel through the soundtrack. The greatest offender that I've ever seen was the web-based documentary, and I use that term loosely, Zeitgeist. These films do it every now and again, but not nearly to the degree of most other documentaries or even films in general. Finally, these films are, in my opinion, more robust and provocative than documentaries that are made for the purpose of being robust and provocative. And I think they leave the viewer with more to think about, because any thought or feeling on the part of the viewer is a reaction to what we're seeing, not a reaction to something we're being told. In the case of two other films having to do with religion, The Root of All Evil and Expelled, the narrative going on in the foreground sort of eliminates spontaneity, while in these two films, if we're going to gasp at the sight of small children viewing a live reenactment of an abortion gone wrong, the reaction is ours, not the narrator's. I realize this first part is short, but that's only because I wanted it to be nothing more than an analysis of these films as films, without getting into the subject matter. In part 2, I will get into the subject matter, and I'll be talking a lot about my own personal take, not just on what we're seeing in the film, but on religion and its impact on politics and society in general. And that is scarcely a movie review. This is a documentary, and we're meant to have a certain reaction and opinion to what we're seeing, whether we think it's right or wrong, correct or incorrect, and why. And the only way I can talk about those things is to talk about it from my point of view. And my opinion need not apply to everybody. Stay tuned for part 2.